Today, we've got an exciting, more or less unscripted video for you guys. Today, we're going to talk about how far I've come with 3D printing, and more specifically, 3D printers. Let's do it. I want to clarify that this is not going to be so much a dedicated review of every single printer that I've used, but more so just kind of looking through the brief time that I've been in this hobby, where I started, where I am today, what I've learned, what I like, what I would do differently, and just all of that with these printers that are behind me. So we're going to take it literally a printer at a time. So with that being said, there's no greater way to start this video than to start by talking about the OG right here, the original gangster. This right here is my Creality Ender 3 Pro. This is like everyone's first starter printer, and it was for me too. Usually you get something along this line, at least at the time when I started 3D printing. So how exactly did I get into this? Well, it all started because my wife bought me a Black Series Stormtrooper helmet, and I thought that that was the coolest thing. So I went online and thought, how could I make an entire suit of Stormtrooper armor? Because I'm a big nerd and I thought that'd be the coolest thing ever. So I go online and I find a vendor on Etsy who sells 3D printed armor pieces for Stormtrooper armor. And I had never looked into this before. To be totally honest, I didn't even realize that 3D printing was something that was accessible to most people if they wanted to get into this. I thought that this was still like an exclusive group. And so I look into this and I see that the prints, you know, they're good, they get good reviews. And they talked about how well they sanded and whatnot. And I saw the word sanding and I was like, wait, what do you mean sanding? And I just got kind of overwhelmed and scared. And I was like, no. If this isn't like just coming to me ready, then I don't want this. So then I kind of ignored that for a little bit. And then I looked at other solutions and I found full Stormtrooper kits for like $1,000. And I was like, I don't have $1,000 to drop on a Stormtrooper kit. So then I ended up revisiting the idea of 3D printing and took a little bit more time to be a little bit more open-minded and realize the potential of 3D printing. So I called my wife one day while I was at work and I said, hey, is it okay if I jump the gun and buy a 3D printer to get into this? And I'm pretty sure I told her I'm only gonna need one.
Liar!
That's hilarious. But yeah, this guy literally sat in our bedroom on like a dresser at the end of the room. And let me tell you, the Ender 3 Pro is loud. This thing is not quiet. So it's a good thing that we like some white noise because it didn't bother us too much. It didn't keep us awake, but this thing was loud. And this printer. I have mixed feelings about this printer. I am very glad that this was my first 3D printer because it taught me a lot. I learned a lot about how 3D printing works and the general sciences of it because I had literally never played with a 3D printer before this one. I received this and I had to build it. It took me a couple hours to build it and to figure out how everything works together. And let me just tell you, this machine has taught me a lot about 3D printing, but boy, this guy has done a lot of work too. I can't tell you the amount of issues that I've had with this thing. This thing almost made me quit on 3D printing before I really took off with it because I had adhesion issues, I had leveling issues, I had clogging issues, I had feeding issues, I've replaced Bowden tubes. I considered, because the other ones weren't working as well, I considered whether or not to try to upgrade it to a direct drive system. I've had someone work at the firmware. I have taken the electronics, the inside wiring apart on this thing one too many times. And let me tell you, when you're new to this hobby, taking this thing apart and accessing the board inside the printer, it's kind of scary your first time doing it. So that was all very overwhelming and almost made me quit. I tell you what, there were a couple articulated toys that I just could not get to stick and they almost made me quit. But I'm so happy that I didn't. And I am so happy that despite the pain that I experienced with this machine, I learned a lot. I literally printed my entire first cosplay suit. My first big project with 3D printing was printing out a Mandalorian suit. And I did it all on this machine. I didn't know how to do a lot of things, like this doesn't fit a whole helmet. So I had to learn how to PLA weld. And I welded my helmet together. And that was a huge skill that I use to this day. There's just so much that I learned throughout that project and the time that I spent with this machine that even though I'll probably never print on it again, I just can't get rid of it because of the nostalgia, because this is my OG printer. And yeah, so love-hate relationship with this, but this is where I started. How about the next one? So after the Ender 3 Pro, I went and upgraded and I got the Neptune 3 Pro. And I can't say enough good things about this machine, especially at the time that I started getting into 3D printing. This right here was a fantastic step up from the Ender 3 Pro. This basically is an upgraded Ender 3 Pro. This is the Neptune 3 Pro by Elegoo, and it just does everything that the Creality Ender 3 Pro does, but a little bit better. There's auto bed leveling, which is super easy to work with. There's not even the adjustment knobs here that you have on the Ender 3. So leveling is a lot easier. Adhesion I found was a lot easier. I didn't have any issues with adhesion. I didn't have any adhesion issues. There's also a direct drive system, so that allows you to print with flexible filaments. While you can't technically do that with an Ender 3 Pro, you might be able to upgrade and manipulate your machine, but out of box, you're not supposed to be able to, in theory, print with flexible materials, whereas this does allow you to do that. It's got the filament runout sensor. It's just a reliable and easy machine. I absolutely love it. This was a great step up from the Ender 3 Pro. You know, I don't know that I would say that this should be the first one that you would buy if you were going to buy one today, just because there are some pretty nice printers that come in at the same price point that this guy came in at. I'm talking about you, Centauri Carbon. But if you found a good deal on one of these guys on the marketplace, or one of these showed up at your door, I certainly wouldn't complain, because this is a fantastic machine. And especially if you haven't printed a lot, this is a really great place to start. I really wish that I had started with this one, but I'm glad that I learned the lessons that I did with the Ender 3 Pro. So Neptune 3 Pro, huge upgrade for me, and I'm very happy with this printer. I'd like to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is actually Pratt Printing Press. That's right, we just launched our very own line of merch where you can get your own Pratt Printing Press swag. Now, the listings that we have up there right now are primarily consisting of the Pratt Printing Press logo. The traditional logo is black, so we do have the black logo on top of clothes, but I do wear a lot of black clothing, so I also have an inverted color of the logo, where the logo is more of a white color, so that if you wear darker colors, you can still have the logo if you're wanting to sport that. We do have more merch that's going to be launched here on the shop eventually, and we are excited about that. We're probably going to incorporate things with my kids and their artwork and stuff like that. Probably lots of Iron Man stuff and just 3D printing merch in general. So super excited about that. But if you love swag as much as I do, and you want to support our channel further, we'd love it if you would check out the shop and consider picking up something to support the channel and get yourself some cool swag. I'm going to include a link for this below in the description of this video, but if you're wanting to search this, you can find it by searching pratt-printing-press.myspreadshop.com. Again, the link will be in the description of today's YouTube video, and thank you so much for your continued support, and go get some swag. Whew. So, for my next printer, I decided to expand a little bit and go a bit bigger, shall we say. This here is the Neptune 3 Max. And if I was to say that this was the Neptune 3 Pro's bigger brother, I'd be lying, because this is the Neptune 3's big daddy. This guy does everything that the Neptune 3 Pro does, but it is much bigger. So it's also going to have the same bed leveling features. It's going to have the same direct drive extruder, the filament runout sensor. It's got a lot of the same bells and whistles. There are adjustment knobs on this build plate because the build plate is so large. So there's actually 6 adjustment knobs, 3 on each side of the build plate. But this right here was such a fantastic upgrade for me. Now, this is where it comes down to, if you're someone that's interested in buying a 3D printer, you have to figure out what it is you're buying it for. Me, one of the things that I'm going to be using 3D printers for primarily is building cosplay pieces. And sometimes you need to print big pieces. This guy is such a great investment for me as a content creator and as a prop builder, because I can print most of the things that I'm going to need at full scale on this machine. So I could print, you know, whole thighs or shins or helmets or chest pieces, or like abs, or, you know, you name it. It's nice to be able to print things on smaller, faster printers sometimes, and then weld things together. And sometimes that is faster, but sometimes you don't want to have to deal with that. And sometimes you just want to send a print, take it off, and go straight to standing because the piece is literally one whole piece. This machine here allows me to do that. So not everyone is going to need a build plate that is this large. Believe it or not, you can go even larger if this build plate isn't big enough for you. But for the purposes that I'm using them for, this machine here was a fantastic upgrade for my shop and my purposes. So I am just in love with this giant, massive machine, and I do still use this guy today. Now, up until this point in the video, all the printers that I have shown you have been traditional FDM printers, which means you take a spool of plastic, you feed that spool into the machine, it pulls it through a hot nozzle, and that's how it prints your 3D object. The next thing that I ended up doing was delving a little bit out of my comfort zone and trying something new, and that's resin printing. Now, believe it or not, this here is not the first machine that I got for resin printing. My first resin printer was actually a Mars 3 Series printer, and I loved it. It was a great machine, it was reliable, it did exactly what it was supposed to do, but it was just smaller. So I eventually wanted to go bigger. I knew that eventually that would happen. And when Elegoo released their Saturn IV Ultra, I had to jump on this machine. This machine is fantastic for someone like me. It serves my purposes wonderfully. It has a larger build plate than the Mars series does. It actually has Wi-Fi sending, which is kind of nice, but not the end of the world either way. But it also has this new tilting vat mechanism that allows it to actually level out the resin and detach the print while it's moving quicker. Look it up. There's full YouTube videos of people breaking down all the specifics of it. I'm not doing that in today's video, but this was a really exciting purchase for me. And I just think it looks sleek. Like, this thing looks like a spaceship, and I don't know, like the inside of it, I just think that this is a beautiful machine. And so for me, this is perfect. Admittedly, I don't use this machine for everything. In fact, it's not used daily like some of my other machines are. This is more of a case by case when I need it, but it's so nice in those moments when you do need it to have it. Parts of my Iron Man suit, in fact, were printed with, I had like, I wanted something clear to diffuse the light from the arc reactor and the repulsors. So I resin printed the different pieces that are supposed to cover that in a clear resin, and then I just sanded it real smooth, and then I gave it a clear coat, and then wet sanded that. So it gave this really beautiful, shiny, clear finish. It was super great, and it helps diffuse the light a little bit. But there's just a lot of applications that you can use with this machine, and I'm very happy with this machine. So anyone that is new, that is considering getting a resin printer, this is certainly not a bad place to start. This is I'd say probably bigger than most people's first resin printer, but Saturn IV Ultra, big plus for me. All right, now last but certainly not least for today's video, we have the GOAT, the greatest of all time printers. We have Bambu's P1 series. This is a P1S. You can go up from there. In fact, Bambu did just release some newer printers, and I'm really interested to get my hands on some of them because they look really great. But as far as having a reliable, high-speed printer that can print out with beautiful quality, with lots of different materials, this guy truly does almost everything. It's super fantastic. It is a smaller volume than my Neptune 3 Max, so that Max still is applicable in my shop, but this guy just prints out everything so quickly. The quality is just fantastic. Anyone who has owned this machine knows that this is a wonderful and reliable machine. I'm not going to break down all the specs for it, because you could literally look this machine up on YouTube and you would find so many content creators like me that are just bragging about how wonderful this machine is, how easy they are to work with. Most people who have been doing this for a long time have eventually gotten around to the Bambu printer side of things, and they don't regret it. Now, I'm super happy that I started out with a Creality bed slinger because it made me appreciate that part of the process. But this guy truly is plug and play. You could order this and know very little about 3D printing, and you could probably send some successful prints through this machine. It really is plug and play. One of the nice things about this machine is that it's a Core XY machine, which means that instead of the bed moving back and forth, swinging back and forth, they call them bed slingers, this is a Core XY machine, which means the bed stays stationary, which makes it more stable, while the head is actually moving around. And once the entire layer is done, then it drops down and the nozzle keeps moving around again. But this machine is just, I don't have enough good things to say about this machine. I am so glad that I invested in this machine, and it truly has transformed the way that I approach 3D printing. This does allow me to print with multiple colors. It allows me to print fast, reliably, good quality prints almost every time, and has honestly required very little maintenance. My dream is that as this channel continues to grow, that I'll end up having an entire shop where I have these bad boys running and run my own little print farm. So we'll see, but whenever we get to that day, you better believe Bambu printers will be on that list. Bambu P1S, absolutely 2 thumbs up. So that's honestly going to wrap things up for today's video. like I said, this is not a printer review. This is not me breaking down every single trait of every one of these printers, recommending this printer over that printer, and saying, oh, why would you buy this one when you could buy this one? That's not what this is about. This right here is just sharing my journey with you guys, with my community, showing where I started, how I progressed and slowly evolved and upgraded and transformed it into what it is today. Because some of you watching this here, you might have a full print farm going, and that's awesome. Some of you watching this might be going, do I get an Ender 3 Pro or do I get whatever? So wherever you are in your journey, appreciate where you are in the journey and recognize that if this is something that you're interested in, you're probably going to grow and try new things and upgrade your machines. And so just appreciate the role that each printer has in that chapter that you're using it, all the lessons that you're learning along the way. Just appreciate every one of those moments. In just a couple of years of doing this, I have owned a decent amount of machines, considering limited income and taking care of a family. Reality is, I'm probably going to get more machines than just this one. You know, there will probably be additional upgrades throughout the years, and that's exciting. I'm excited to try out new printers. I'm excited to see what they're going to add, what lessons I'm going to learn, and what awesome things I'm going to print with whatever my next printer is going to be. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me in today's video while we talked about the history of the printers that I have owned here at Pratt Printing Press. If you want to support the channel further, please consider dropping a like on today's video, hit that subscribe button, and click that bell icon. That way you never miss any new uploads here on the channel. All right, guys, thank you so much. Happy printing. Okay, now I need to go put all these printers back. Here's my workout for the day.